Greetings, YouTube. So I saw something recently about a person discussing the fact that recently more and more young men are remaining virgins. And so they haven't had sexual encounters with another person that meets the criteria to their satisfaction of having lost their virginity, whatever the hell that means for a man at all when it comes to having heterosexual sex with a woman. Um, I'm not even sure what the word virginity is supposed to mean to anyone because virginity is a social construct. It's got nothing to do with biology at all. Period. There is no connection between the word virginity and biology. There just isn't. Um, and so I guess 27% of young men are virgins. And apparently this has one person so bothered that they felt that there needs to be some kind of government policy addressing this. And this person wasn't even an incel. It was just kind of astounding that because I was struck by this. I listened to it, and I'm like, if someone just walked up to me and said, "Hey, 27% of you know men under X are virgins," I would have been okay. Well, what's that got to do with me? For that matter, what's it got to do with you? Unless, of course, you're one of them and it does concern you. Um, and why is it anyone's business? Why does the government have to have any involvement at all? Why does there have to be a policy of some variety to address what? To address maybe we can educate people into realizing that virginity is a social construct and it has no meaning. Maybe we could address, for example, making sure that we're raising men to be emotionally and mentally healthy. Okay, that's one thing we could be doing, which we fail miserably at in America and in the West by and large. Actually, we fail miserably in that in most places, to tell you the truth. Social conservatism has dug its claws deep into our psyches and into our culture and has convinced generations of men and women to raise the next generation of men and women to be socially conservative and twisted and warped when it comes to their ideas of sex and relationships. Because those things don't necessarily have anything to do with each other. You can have sex and not have a relationship. You can have a relationship and not have sex. Um, those are all viable options. Um, People can be aromantic and asexual. Uh, they can be romantic and asexual. They can be aromantic and sexually active. I once interestingly heard someone was saying that they were having a conversation with their friend of theirs and they were discussing the fact that one of them was asexual and how that has affected their overall life. And a woman in the line behind them says, "Excuse me," so I couldn't help it overhearing. If someone's asexual, is it also possible to be aromantic? She'd make that conceptual leap on her own. And they said, "Yeah, why?" I said, "Well, I need to call my mom. So you see, I have 3 kids with 3 different men because frankly, I don't want to be in a romantic relationship with anybody, but I do like sex." Um, so I think that that particular person should probably learn how to use a condom, but that's just me. Um, but why is it anyone's business except for the person who has that particular framing about whether they are or not a virgin? Who cares? And why is it anyone's business? Why does our society say that you should remain a virgin until X happens and you should not remain a virgin after X happens? There's like these demarcation lines. And of course, the demarcation lines for men and for women are much different. It's considered to be completely acceptable for men to have many partners, but it's not considered to be socially acceptable for women to have many partners. At one time, the national average in America of sexual partners was considered 13. That is no longer considered reliable data. Why? Because it is quite possible that men were over-reporting their number of sexual partners, and women were significantly under-reporting their sexual partners because of social norms. That if a woman were to actually tell others how many partners they'd had, they would be judged by society. So between the under-reporting of women and the over-reporting of men, you ended up at 13. Maybe that's right. Who knows? I don't know if we're ever going to be able to get clear data on that, at least not in this generation, or maybe even the next generation, till we get to the point where people can talk about sex openly and freely without any kind of, emotional baggage involved in the conversation. Sex education in America should be, in fact, everywhere, should be fact-based, and should be making sure that the first thing people understand is consent, and then they should understand how to avoid pregnancy for those that are going to be engaging in activities that might result in pregnancy, and how to avoid disease for people who are going to be engaging in things where disease is a possible or a significant risk factor. Making sure that they understand the concept of orgasm when it relates to a single person in the form of masturbation, or with a partner or partners. Making sure everybody gets their rocks off. It's not over until everybody gets to exchange those fortune cookies. So I'm still failing to see why anyone, whether they be a feminist or an incel, gives a shit about someone else's virginity. I really don't. We need to teach people that it's a social construct, and we need to teach men that attaching too much emphasis on it for either themselves or for other people or their potential partners or siblings or friends or family or what have you is really damn dangerous. I mean, there are places in the world, including the United States, where if someone is raped, they're considered to be fallen. There are social conservatives that are raising girls right now in the year 2023 to believe that if they have sex, they have despoiled themselves, that they are no more worth to anyone in the world than a piece of trash because they chose to exercise their bodily autonomy and exchanged pleasure with somebody else. That's warped and twisted. Far more warped and twisted than the concept that, maybe you should be, or someone else should be concerned about whether you are or aren't a virgin. Yeah, I don't get it. I really don't. I don't care who is and isn't a virgin. It's none of my goddamn business because the concept makes no sense. It has nothing based in fact, and I'm still a little lost to figure out why anybody cares. I really do. So I hope you don't care about other people's virginity, and I hope that you don't burden yourself with feelings of virginity having importance in your life. Now, wanting to have a relationship, that makes sense. Wanting to enjoy pleasure, that makes sense. But that doesn't actually have anything to do with the false construction of virginity. Because you can have pleasure by yourself, you can have pleasure with a partner or partners. You just don't have to worry about that word because it doesn't mean a goddamn thing.